early childhood is certainly very important in the development of this set of non-cognitive skills or character strengths that matter so much. But it's also true that there is another period when these skills can develop, and that is adolescence. And the reason for that is because of this quality that psychologists call meta-cognition. And meta-cognition just means thinking about thinking. And it's in adolescence that for the first time, kids are able to really think about their own thought processes in this deep way. They're really able to reflect on themselves intensely. And if you've hung out with teenagers recently, you'll know they like reflecting on themselves a lot. And so there are a lot of these interventions in this character realm that try to take advantage of that, to try to get young people to rethink their patterns, their habits, and really their whole character. And one of the places where I saw this in action in my reporting was at these two schools in New York City that are trying some new experimental methods of character education. One is the KIPP Middle School, the KIPP Infinity Middle School, which is a charter school serving mostly low-income kids in West Harlem. The other is the Riverdale Country School, which is one of the most exclusive private schools in New York City. Tuition just topped $40,000 a year. So these are two very different schools with very different student populations. But a few years ago, the educators who were running these two schools found themselves in a similar situation. On paper, their schools were doing great. At KIPP, the kids were getting excellent scores on their standardized tests. At Riverdale, the kids were going on and going to great colleges, going to Ivy League schools. And yet both Dave Lavin, the founder of KIPP, and Dominic Randolph, the headmaster at Riverdale, found themselves worried that their graduates were missing out on something. That they were graduating kids who were, great test takers, great college application filler-outers, but they were missing the inner strength, the perseverance, or the grit, or the self-discipline to overcome real challenges. And so they would go out into the world, whether that meant high school or college or beyond, and they would encounter some setback, like everybody eventually does, and they would sometimes get completely derailed. And so both Dave and Dominic felt that if they wanted to help their students succeed, not just on next week's test, but in the long term and in a deep way, they had to find a way to help them develop their character. And so they spent a couple of years working with this team of psychologists from the University of Michigan and the University of Pennsylvania. And together they came up with this list of character strengths, 7 character strengths, that they have determined are the most predictive of positive outcomes for kids. Here is the magic list, according to KIPP and Riverdale. Optimism, zest, curiosity, social intelligence, gratitude, self-control, and grit.